Welcome to Daily Impulse. Here we talk about motivation, inspiration, and historical figures. In the field of automobiles, Henry Ford is an iconic name. He was an American industrialist and business magnate, best known for founding the Ford Motor Company and promoting the development of the assembly line technique of mass production. A prolific innovator and shrewd businessman, Ford was responsible for the Model T and Model A automobiles, as well as the popular Fordson Tractor, the V8 engine, a submarine chaser, and the Ford Trimotor Teen Goose passenger airplane. Henry Ford was the pioneer in converting automobiles from an expensive luxury into an accessible conveyance for middle-class Americans, which profoundly impacted the landscape of the 20th century. Let's learn about the story of Henry Ford. Henry Ford was born on July 30, 1863 on his family's farm in Wayne County near Dearborn, Michigan. He was the eldest of 6 children of William Ford and Mary Litocott Ahern in a family of 4 boys and 2 girls. His father was a native of County Cork, Ireland, who fled the Irish potato famine with 2 borrowed Irish pounds and a set of carpentry tools to come to the United States in 1847. His mother, Mary, the youngest child of Belgian immigrants, was born in Michigan. When Henry Ford was born, the United States was in the middle of the Civil War. When Ford was 13 years old, his father gifted him a pocket watch, which the young boy promptly took apart and reassembled. Friends and neighbors were impressed and requested that he fix their timepieces too. Ford hated farm work, so after the 1878 harvest, he abruptly left the farm at the age of 16, walking off without permission to Detroit, where he stayed with his father's sister, Rebecca. He took a job at the streetcar manufacturer Michigan Car Company Works, but was fired after 6 days and had to return home. In 1879, William got Henry an apprenticeship at the James Flower & Brothers machine shop in Detroit, where he lasted 9 months. He left that job for a position at the Detroit Dry Dock Company, which was a pioneer in iron ships and Bessemer steel. Neither job paid him enough to cover his rent, so he took a night job with a jeweler, cleaning and repairing watches. Henry Ford returned to the farm in 1882, where he operated a small portable steam threshing machine, the Westinghouse agricultural engine, for a neighbor. He was very good at it, and over the summers of 1883 and 1884, he was hired by the company to operate and repair engines made and sold in Michigan and northern Ohio. In December 1885, Ford met Clara Jane Bryant at a New Year's Eve party. They got married on April 11, 1888. The couple would have one son, Edsel Bryant Ford. Ford continued to work the farm. His father gave him an acreage, but his heart was in tinkering. He had a business in mind. Over the winters of 1888 through 1890, Henry Ford enrolled in Goldsmith, Bryant, and Stratton Business University in Detroit, where he likely took penmanship, bookkeeping, mechanical drawing, and general business practices. By the early 1890s, Ford was convinced that he could construct a horseless carriage. However, he didn't know enough about electricity, so in September 1891, he took a job with the Edison Illuminating Company in Detroit. After his son Edsel was born on November 6, 1893, Ford was promoted to chief engineer. By 1896, Ford had built his first working horseless carriage, which he named a quadricycle. By 1898, Ford was awarded his first patent for a carburetor. Determined to improve upon his prototype, Ford sold the quadricycle to continue building other vehicles. He received backing from various investors over the next 7 years, some of whom formed the Detroit Automobile Company in 1899. His partners, eager to put a passenger car on the market, grew frustrated with Ford's constant need to improve, and Ford left his namesake company in 1902. The company later became known as the Cadillac Motor Car Company. The following year, Ford established the Ford Motor Company. Ford introduced the Model T, the first car to be affordable for most Americans, in October 1908. Ford continued the construction of Model T until 1927. Also known as the Tin Lizzie, the car was known for its durability and versatility, quickly making it a huge commercial success. In 1913, Ford launched the first moving assembly line for the mass production of automobiles. This new technique decreased the amount of time it took to build a car from 12 hours to 2.5, which in turn lowered the cost of the Model T from $850 in 1908 to $310 in 1926 for a much improved model. In 1914, Ford introduced the $5 wage for an 8-hour workday, more than double what workers were previously making on average. Ford chose this method to keep the best workers loyal to his company. By 1927, Ford and his son Edsel introduced another successful car, the Model A. With the introduction of Model A, the Ford Motor Company grew into an industrial behemoth. By the time production ended in 1931, more than 4 million Model A's had rolled off the assembly line. In 1932, as a design change for the company, Ford set the auto industry on its ear with the revolutionary Flathead Ford V8, the first low-price 8-cylinder engine. Variants of the Flathead V8 would be used in Ford vehicles for 20 years, with its power and dependability leaving it an iconic engine among hot rod builders and car collectors. Henry Ford had other successful ventures too. Made by the Ford Airplane Company, the Ford Trimotor or Tin Goose was the mainstay of the earliest airplane passenger service between the late 1920s and early 1930s. Even though only 199 were ever built, Ford's all-metal construction, 15-passenger capacity planes suited the needs of almost all of the early airlines until newer, larger and faster planes from Boeing and Douglas became available. Another one of his most successful innovations was a farm tractor called the Fordson, which he began developing in 1906. It was built on a Model B engine with a large water tank in place of a standard radiator. By 1916, he had built working prototypes, and when World War I started, he produced them internationally. The Fordson continued to be made in the US until 1928. Ford's factories in Cork, Ireland and Dagenham, England made Fordsons throughout World War II. Henry Ford made huge profits with his successful innovations, which made him one of the wealthiest men in America. But more than for his profits, Ford became renowned for his revolutionary vision, the manufacture of an inexpensive automobile made by skilled workers who earned steady wages and enjoyed a 5-day, 40-hour work week. Ford's work transformed the automobile industry, and the moving assembly line sparked a modern-day industrial revolution. Henry Ford is a role model for inspiration, vision, and innovation. If you want more videos like this, keep your eyes on Daily Impulse.